Welcome to the studio, guys. Today we're going to be taking a look at these layers. We're talking of sample layering. Now, it's also a feature that can be found inside your program edit. Like I said, the program edit is loaded with lots of features. You need to spend more time in there to really be able to make proper usage of what you have there. And it's, trust me, it's going to increase and it's going to speed up your workflow, and at the same time it's going to make you to be more creative. There are some features there that are guaranteed to make your creativity come out the more. Inside the program edit, normally when you go in there, this is what you see, right? You basically see that's the master and then what it has to offer you. But beyond this, you see layer play under your pad, and you'll be wondering, layer play, what does it mean? Sample play, we're not even going to go into that for now, but the layer play, which is very, very important. What does layer play means? We're going to come back to that layer play to explain it to you. I'm talking about this, that I'm able to change to either cycle, velocity, or random. Before you can actually understand how this works, we need to talk about samples, which is the next item on this page. So let's click on samples. When you click on samples, you realize that samples 2 also has its own, I think, about 4 different pages that continuous clicking on the sample will keep switching those pages. Let's go. If you press it, you see, okay, this is just kind of like extending the different layers that we have on that particular page, on that particular pad rather. Then furthermore, to modify offset, velocity, velocity start, velocity end, and then we're talking about the pitch, level, pan, and the offset, then attack and decay for that particular pad. Now let's come back to the beginning. This is where it starts. I'll explain to you what happens here on this page, then I will use that to go back and explain to you what that layer, this particular layer play, does. One thing you need to understand is, especially if you are picking up maybe beat samples, sorry, if you're picking up programs, I'm talking of beats that someone actually uploaded for you and say download this and just load the program and you are good to go. Sometimes you do not know what has gone down in terms of editing and modifications and layering that has taken place in that particular program because it was not put together by you yourself. So now this will help you to also be able to put together yours in a better way, and to also be able to reverse engineer, like kind of break down another program you might have gotten from a third party and try your best to understand what it's made of. In reality, we're saying, you might think, oh yes, because we have 128 parts to work with, from A to H, each being 16, it simply means we can only load up 128, how do I put it, maybe events, to get 128 kits. Let me use that. So maybe each of them will have like we're talking of the sound, the snare and everything, samples, 128. But that is not entirely true, because from where I'm standing, you can actually add more than that. As a matter of fact, 128 times 4. The reason being, each of these parts, they actually are made up of 4 layers. They allow you to put 4 different instruments. I'm talking of 4 different events, MIDI events, on each of these parts. So these that you are hearing right now, I'm talking of part 1. If you go to the sample, if you go to your program edit and you go to samples from the master, you see that layer 1 has attack kick. But click on layer 2, it also has another kick. So we're basically talking about 2 kicks that are playing together simultaneously. That is what you are hearing right now. 2 of them are playing together simultaneously. That's what you're just hearing. So, but most of the time, because you are not the one that put together the beat and all that, you just feel it's okay, man, it's just a beat. How can I recreate this kind of beat? I like it, without you knowing that, oh, it's actually a combination of 2 different beats. So you need to know how to set up your own layering as well. If you want yours, maybe there's a particular beat or a particular kick, a particular snare or hat, or any of the events you might have put on any of your parts, you want it to actually play and you want it to come along with some other effect or some other MIDI events, you can layer everything together, and you have up to 4 layers that you can use to do that. Let's continue from here. So we have the beat. This is a snare, and it's just one as it is. But check this out. This attack snare has something like a clap to it. And the reason is because if you check out layer 2, there's a clap that is actually attached to that particular pad. And that's why you're able to hear the attack snare and the clap together. They are both on the same pad, different layers. So if I need to add another thing, another beat entirely or another MIDI event, maybe like layer, all I need to do is go to layer 3. This sample that says none, I click on it. I can use my jog wheel. Then I will now scroll through the list of all the samples I already have. Then I can select it, and it automatically becomes part of it. Let me just try something. Let me select cymbal. Now if I play, you see that cymbal has already joined the list of what is playing here. But then let's keep it simple. Let me undo. So we've taken that out. So just to show you how you can add your own layers to each of those parts. So always take your time. Anytime you download like a program file, I'm talking of your maybe like your drum kit. Always try to go to your program edit, see what each of those events are made of. That will help you to know how to reverse engineer, like I said earlier, and it will also help you to make your own beat in a better way. Now that you've known what this does, let's take a look. Let's now go back to the masters, and I'll explain to you this layer play. Layer play now simply is trying to ask you, now it seems to me like this particular pad has more than one layer. How do you want me to play it? Should I play them in cycle? It simply means if you strike that particular event, should I play them in cycle? I'll play the first one. When next you strike it, I'll play the second one. When next you strike it, I'll play the third one. And if you strike it again, I'll play the fourth one. Don't worry if there's any blank in between, maybe like there's an empty layer. A good example, let's say you have something on layer 1, you have something on layer 2, you don't have on layer 3, but you have on layer 4. It will not play the blank. It will just jump from layer 1, layer 2, layer 4. Do you get? So don't worry about that. Cycling basically will just play in that order, in layer order, the beat. And when you get to the last one, the next time you strike it, it plays the first one again. Let us try that. It's good to work with examples. So let me check one of these that actually has 2. A good example, this part 7 has 2. Now, attack snare and the clap. But the reason why 2 of them, if you go to master, the reason why 2 of them are playing together right now is because it's in velocity. Velocity basically means play everything together like that simultaneously. If I change it to cycle, did you hear that? Next time is a clap. Next time is a snare. Next time is a clap. The snare, the clap. So if you have more than 4, you want to kind of like be switching your flow in between your beat. Let's say the bar 1, I want this to sound bar 2, I want this to sound. You don't need to go and start putting those MIDI events in each of those bars. You can actually layer everything and just play one simple event and then go and put it on cycle, and it will cycle through each bar, or each time those events occurs, it will just cycle through. This is very, very good when you are trying to just set up maybe a good example. You have a sample that maybe like a baby that is talking or something, and then you just put all the different speech of the baby inside one layer on a particular part, and then you strike it all through your song. And by the time you set it to cycle, it will just cycle through each of those baby talk, those kind of thing, and it's just funkify your music and your production and make it kind of like lively, giving us different but consistent cycle. But if you want it to be random, let's say I don't want it to follow each other, I just want it to be random. Give me anyone you want to give me at any particular point in time. Make the workflow a lot more interesting, so that people even you won't be able to predict what's coming next. That's when you select random. So random, I might strike twice and get what I'm getting now. Next time I might strike and get a clap. So I do not know what is coming. Can you see? Like, do you get? So here you can't really tell what is coming next, but it's also useful it's useful. It's very, very useful. A good example would be if you are trying to add some samples, underneath your beats, all those kind of low velocity samples that anything can come up. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order. A good example, let's say a vinyl cracker. You are trying to just add those sound underneath your beat to make it sound as if it's an old school beat. If you layer those vinyl crackers, you realize that if you use the same one all through, it might sound as if, oh yeah, doctored, or yeah, it's kind of like it's expected. But if you have different kind of vinyl crackers, like maybe one is just straight up, one is just cracking more, you have to randomize them. That way, it will be jumping from one to the other and give that your production that feel that, you know what, this sounds a lot more kind of like I'm actually listening to a vinyl. Do you get? So that is basically what that layer play does. By default, you will see it on velocity, which means play the two together. And what is playing together is what I've just shown you now inside this sample. So why not just go ahead here? I don't know, maybe you are the type that likes to set up your own beats. Go ahead and do that. Or if you are the type that basically you are used to picking people's, maybe other people's or purchased kits, once you download them, once you load them up on your work interface, try to go to your program edit and check out what these things are made of. It will be easier for you to edit them, to modify them when you know actually what each of your pad is made up of. It will be very, very easier for you to modify. If I set this layer 1 to cycle, that's the first one, that's the second one. So one is sharp, the attack and delay sharp. This one has a longer decay rather. This one is sharp, the attack and decay. This one has a longer decay, and that's why it's kind of like extends. And then, so if I take it back to velocity, two of them playing together, the very thick and then the decay. So these are some of the things that actually basically make up your beat, and you just need to know what they are about, how they are made of, and then how you can alter them to your own, taste. So let's say, for example, we're going to take a time to talk about the other aspect of the samples later, and also we'll talk about these envelopes and the LFO modulation and the effects. Just stick around, and we'll cover everything in details. But I believe by now you understand the concept of layer play and what actually affects the layer play, what exactly it does and what it affects. So that'll be all for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you in the next one.